what I want to talk to you about today is that quote that I said the other day is, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence is not an act, therefore it's a habit. And that was by Aristotle back in BC somewhere. So it's habits are something that make our dreams come true, really. It makes or breaks us. And at the moment, I don't know about you, but have you been noticing a lot of your bad habits creep in, and maybe not so much your good habits? There could be things that you know that you need to do, but you don't know how to get into the rhythm. You don't know how to start that mindfulness. You don't know how to incorporate yoga. Well, deep down you know that you should be doing it, but it's so much easier to, Brene Brown talks about the easy buttons that you push, which are scrolling your phone, turning the TV on, doing all that stuff instead of doing the stuff that you know you should be doing. So there are 3 parts that make up a habit, right? You can write this down. Cue, routine, and reward. So the cue is the thing that triggers the habit, whether that's a good habit or a bad habit. So it could be that the cue is that your phone vibrates. The routine that you've got yourself into, which is the next part, is what you actually do, your response. And that's usually on autopilot. So that's something that you don't even think about. So your phone vibrates, which is the cue, and the next thing is you are checking your phone. Okay, so that's your routine. And the reward that you get from the next part of the habit is the reward, which is why the habit's there, is because you get something from it. And that could be that it gives you good feelings, that you get that rush of dopamine because you get the like or the comment, or it makes you feel, it takes you out of the present moment, because you're bored, right? So cue, routine, reward. The act of starting a new habit, so not breaking, and we'll talk about breaking an old habit in a minute, but the act of starting a new habit is that you have to come up with a cue. So you can't just say, I'm going to drink more water, without coming up with a plan or a cue to start that habit, right? So if we break it down, cue, routine, reward. So what's your cue going to be for drinking more water? Okay, I'm going to leave a bottle beside my bed. I'm going to leave a cup by my study desk, and that's going to mean that every time I look at that cup, that's my cue to drink. Okay, so the routine is drinking the water, and the reward is that you feel better, you detox your body, you know all the good stuff, you know why you should be drinking more water. It makes you feel more energized, flushes your system out. So that's one example if you wanted to start a new habit of drinking more water, for example. If you wanted to start a new habit of, yoga, the cue could be that you roll your mat out, and have it somewhere where you look at it, more. And by seeing the yoga mat, having a specific time of day to do it, then that's your cue. And then the routine starts, you know what you should be doing. And then the reward is that you feel so much better. So until you can make the routine autopilot, at the start, it's going to be really hard, because it's not autopilot, it's not ingrained in your system. So that's why forming a new habits, it takes at least 28 days. So you have to have something, your cue and your reward have to be strong enough that's going to make you do the routine, the actual act, the response where you do it. And then after 28 days, as I said, autopilot. Does that make sense? Give me a heart if that does. So other cues could be putting a sticky note on your bedside table. If you wanted to make sure that if you wanted to create a habit of running every morning, or getting outside and doing some exercise, your brain loves shortcuts. It loves to make excuses. And so one thing that you can do is set out, the cue could be that you set out your clothes the night before to make your brain, to give your brain less excuses, because you could be like, oh, it's warm in here, or oh, I could sleep in. You see your clothes, that's the cue. You have your shoes ready to go, you have your socks and your shoes, you put them on and you're out the door. One other thing that I really enjoy is Mel Robbins. She has a book and a podcast and everything called The 5 Second Rule, and it's essentially about taking out your thinking brain and putting yourself into action in situations where you don't want to do something. So she talks about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And the reason why she counts backwards from 5 is because when you do that in your brain, it takes you from that thinking brain of, I can't do this, I don't want to do this, I'm not going to make that phone call, I don't want to get out of bed, to the logical brain. I can't remember. You have to read her stuff, it's amazing. But by doing that, she says that, yeah, you just say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you get out of bed. Or you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you do something. I don't know. You put your shoes on, go for a run. Whatever the habit is that you want to start. That's another way. So you don't give yourself an out. You don't give yourself that excuse. So the other part to creating a new habit is you have to know your why. You have to know why you're doing it, and the reward isn't enough. So the reward isn't enough unless you know why you're doing it. So eventually you'll crave the reward when you see the cue. So the key is to stick to it. So eventually it will become automated. You won't have to think about it. But the key is to, when you want to create a new habit, you have to ask yourself, well, why do I want to do this? Is it your mental health? Is it because you're battling with being locked up all the time and you know that this is the best for you? Is it because you want to go to the Olympics? Is it because you want to make your family proud of you? Is it because you want to support people more? Is it because whatever it is, right? You want to become more flexible because you want to feel better about yourself. Whatever it is, list your whys to your new habit. Okay, so that's starting a new habit. I just wanted to touch briefly on breaking old habits that are already ingrained in our system. Okay, so we've got our cues. We know what our cues are to our old habits. We know we've got our routine, which is what happens on autopilot. And this habit that you might have had, you could have had for a long, long time. So remember that it's not going to just break instantly. And then you've got your reward. Okay, so to break an old habit, you have to sub out the routine. You keep your cue and you keep your reward, but you change your routine. Okay, so that means, for example, say your habit is that 3 p.m. every day you get really hungry and you decide you're going to go and eat a whole bag of chips or eat something sweet. Or it could be like after dinner you feel like you need dessert, right? So you go and raid the pantry and eat sweets. So you keep your cue. So as soon as you notice that hunger, but you change the routine. So the routine could be that instead of reaching for the bag of lollies or the bag of chips or whatever, is that you have a pre-planned snack in the cupboard where you know that, as soon as you feel that hunger, you go and get the apple slices with peanut butter or the natural slice or whatever it is that you've pre-made to make it really easy for yourself to take that option. And then your reward stays the same because you feel full and you feel proud of yourself for changing that habit. So you keep doing that. You keep your cue and you keep your reward. Another one could be that you keep your cue of the phone vibrating, but you change your routine. So every time you hear your phone vibrate, you could just pause for a second and maybe reach for something else instead of your phone. Another thing that you could do is you could actually just, for me, I change, like I put my phone on mute if I don't want to be constantly reminded that it's there. To get notifications, you could mute certain apps so that you're not getting pop-ups of Instagram or Facebook, maybe on your emails. There's lots of different tactics that you can use to lessen the cue if you need to. But the key is to change that middle one, to change the reward. The other one is you could start to, so for example, a cue could be an emotion. So it could be sadness, or it could be anger, or it could be like frustration. And that could lead to an action that you know is a bad habit. So, we don't want to stop ourselves from feeling. We don't want to stop ourselves from feeling sad because that's a natural emotion. But instead of doing what we normally do when we get sad, see if you can change that for a healthier option. The key, though, is to write a list. So write a list of your bad habits that you want to break, and don't list hundreds. We all have, like, really, honestly, all of us have a lot of bad habits. So don't overwhelm yourself. Maybe start just with a couple, or even just one, and then write down what your new routine is going to be. The key is to pre-plan it. You can't just wing it. You have to write down why you want to change the bad habit to, and then you can start listing all your good habits, or just say, like, this is what I'm really good at. And then you can also list the ones that you want to add, so some habits that you might want to start. So this is called, like, start, stop, and keep. 3 lists, and you can work from there. But remember to use the cue, routine, reward. Just a quick recap for anyone who's just joined. When you want to start a new habit, come up with a cue. So that's like, if you want to drink more water, put the bottle on your desk. Then your routine will follow, and then your reward. And if you want to break old habits, you keep your cue, you keep your reward, and you change your routine. Pretty simple. I just think it's really handy for us to all be really aware of what we're doing at the moment, our daily actions, and remember that, like, every single small thing that you do in a day, that adds up to be a lot. So you're not going to get anywhere overnight. It's just literally our lives are made up with split-second decisions, hundreds of them every single day. And if you just change a few of those decisions, if you swap a few things out, then you actually notice like a whole massive shift in your life. Hope that helped. I'm going to go have lunch now. And maybe I'm going to wash my hair tonight, because anyone else rocking the cap 24/7? Also, if anyone has some tips on how to cut hair at home, the struggle is real. It's getting way too out of control. Let's just keep this hat on for now, eh? Stay safe out there, stay isolated, and make sure you go get some fresh air at some point, because it's a beautiful day out there. Bye, girls.